Damn, I really have been making a lot of videos in the past few weeks, haven't I? Well, I hope we can keep this momentum up because, oh baby, this ain't stopping. Hey folks, how's it going? This is Game Webcam. Now, this is going to be a sort of different video, so if you're new to my channel, you should probably think that I only make Roblox and alternative Roblox content, as obviously that covers a lot of the modern content that I'm making on my channel. I also like to cover obscure browser games on this channel, because that was what made up a majority of my childhood in the mid-2000s, and it is the starting grounds of which this channel was found upon. And of course, the first video that I've ever uploaded on this channel was a video of me playing FFX Runner. Now, why am I making this video? My last video that I've made on FFX Runner was a video where I actually tried out FFX Runner HD, where I actually try out the modern version of FFX Runner, remastered with various different textures, additional scenery, and a few additional map changes. If you want to watch that video for yourself, you can click it in the top right corner. Near the end of that video, I made a humble request to Officine Pixel, the main developers behind FFX Runner, considering that they watched my first video playing FFX Runner in 2021. Again, you can watch that by clicking it in the top right corner. I thought that they would have a suspicion that they would probably watch this video as well, so I made this humble request to them. I would much appreciate it if there was a way that we could modify this game, because I would love to see what the community could do with modifying the game and seeing what they could accomplish with it. It'd be really nice for you to open source the code, so that way we could probably take a crack at it and, I don't know, extend the game to our liking. A few days later, Officine Pixel left a comment saying, "We may actually open source this game." And then, of course, a week ago, they delivered. They managed to actually upload the full project of FFX Runner onto GitHub. This is really great news because, yes, while the game has been preserved in Flashpoint, both the original and the HD version, now we have the original source files of the game. And of course, many of the art assets that were used to create the game. However, at the moment of recording this, they haven't uploaded all the assets of FFX Runner to the GitHub repository yet. They are still working on trying to get a few assets and trying to get them uploaded. But I have pretty good faith that they will be able to get these assets and be able to get them onto the GitHub so that way they are readily accessible. Now, of course, this video was made a little late because there have been other videos that I've been working on, such as the Roview episode, which you can also check out in the top right corner. And I'm also currently working on a Polytoria episode because I've been getting a lot of suggestions of people for me to play Polytoria. Don't worry, that episode is coming. It's just on hold right now because Polytoria is upgrading their servers, and obviously I can't play any games at the moment, so that's why that episode is on hold right now. Let's just say for the past week, when the FFX Runner source code has been put onto GitHub, people have been modifying the game and doing some crazy things with it. I'm gonna show you a few clips of what people managed to accomplish with the game right now. Yeah. To be honest, I do kind of find a lot of those clips to be funny. I definitely got a few good laughs out of these videos when I first watched them. So I thought that it would be most important to bring these videos, download these clips and get them onto this video, just so you all can see. But besides just a few basic mods of basically screwing around with the source code, how do you actually access the game? Well, this game was actually in development since the early 2000s, which means that since this game is quite outdated, the software that has been used to make the game is very obsolete. Now, in order to open the FFX Runner game, you will have to download Macromedia Director 8.5, which, if you do not know, just to give you an idea of how old that piece of software is, the release date for that software is in 2001. Which pretty much means this piece of software is on its 20th anniversary, and it is almost as old as I am. Now, of course, what happened to Macromedia Director? Well, throughout the history, Adobe, the people who also make Flash, actually took an interest in Macromedia Director, and they actually acquired Macromedia. And that's why, if Macromedia Director doesn't sound familiar to you, then perhaps Adobe Director may sound more familiar to you, because that is what the program was renamed to when it got acquired by Adobe Systems. Even for the latest version of Adobe Director, which you cannot use to actually run FFX Runner because the libraries that Adobe Director 11.5 has are nowhere near the same as Macromedia Director 8.5, including some libraries such as the Havoc physics engine that FFX Runner uses in order to simulate physics in its game. So if you really want to get FFX Runner opening, you cannot use the latest version of Adobe Director. You have to use Macromedia Director 8.5, as those have the appropriate libraries needed to run the game. But even coming across the latest version of Adobe Director, you won't get any luck trying to get it, because 2017, Adobe actually discontinued Director, eventually taking it off the cloud in early 2017, and eventually stopped providing updates for the software in mid-2017. Even if you have a legitimate Creative Cloud subscription, there is no way that you are going to be obtaining this software. Now, of course, this is where you have to turn to the sketchy parts of the internet. Now, I'm pretty sure I can't give you the exact instructions of where you can find this, because if I tell you where to get it, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be breaking some laws. So, alright, so now that we've obtained Macromedia Director 8.5, which you hopefully got legally, so now we can continue expanding on the FFX Runner game, right? Well, Macromedia Director 8.5 is very obsolete software. I don't think it would be a very good idea to try and build upon the source code, considering that the program you need to open the project files .dir are pretty much obsolete. I mean, when I actually tried using Macromedia Director 8.5 to try and dive into the game's code and assets, this program is incredibly esoteric. That is because Macromedia Director was never meant to be a game engine. Macromedia Director was meant to be an animation software. The same goes with Adobe Flash. Adobe Flash was meant to be an animation software, but because of its scripting capabilities, it can be used to make games out of it. So of course, the many conveniences that come with a typical game engine, such as an Explorer, a nice script editor, etc., you will not easily come across this in Macromedia Director. Now, of course, accessing the game's scripts really isn't all that easy. It's not like an actual game engine where you can just use an Explorer and navigate different instances and find a script file to edit. What you have to do to access most of the game's scripts is you're gonna actually have to use something called cast. You need to actually switch the cast view because by default you are using the internal cast, which holds all of the game's assets. To be able to see the scripts, you will have to switch to Lingo Cast, which is Macromedia Director's scripting language, and you will have to click on that menu in order to get access to a lot of the game's scripts. And even then, finding the scripts for the game is only half the battle. You have to now deal with a few more challenges when you find the scripts. The scripting language that Macromedia Director uses, Lingo, is not a modern scripting language that is used anymore. It is an obsolete scripting language, which means that if you're going to try and read the syntax of these scripts, good luck, because it uses a lot of terminology that you may not be familiar with if you have learned a programming language like Python, Lua, Java, or C for that matter. Another barrier that you will come across when reading these scripts is the documentation is not all in English. You see, the developers of Officine Pixel are not native English speakers. Their native language is Italian, which means that the documentation for the game's code is going to be written in Italian. So now we have to deal with a language barrier, and we have to overcome that barrier if we want to have any chance to try and convert the game's code to work on, let's say, a more modern gaming engine. If we want FFX Runner to survive in the modern climate of gaming today, I don't think building upon the source code in Macromedia Director is going to be a viable option. The only viable option that we're going to have is completely rewrite the game and make a port in a more modern and more popular game engine. There have been people who have been thinking about porting the game to a more modern game engine that people can work with. And so far there are two options up in the air. The first one is Unity, because Unity is a very popular gaming engine. It's one of the go-to gaming engines for a lot of people. So of course, trying to take FFX Runner's assets and trying to port them over to Unity may be a very good and simple option. And Unity also contains Havoc's physics engine, which means that if we really wanted to nail the accuracy down as even as accurate as the physics, then maybe Unity would be a pretty good solution. However, another game engine seems to be a viable candidate, which is the Godot engine. Now, to be honest, this is a game engine I'm not very familiar with. I actually never heard of it before until now. But it seems like the Godot engine is another game engine and development platform where you can make 2D and 3D games similar to Unity. And the reason why we may have an advantage with Godot is because one of the developers of Officine Pixel actually knows how to use Godot engine and could have assistance in making a port using Godot engine. The last question that I may want to address before ending this video is, what's the point of porting this game? This is a very outdated game with very outdated graphics, and the only reason why it gained enough traction is because it was a really good browser game for the browser game era in the mid-2000s. You see, browser gaming is not as prevalent as it used to be. Sure, there are definitely modern browser games that still can be quite addictive, such as Agar.io and Slither.io, and all the other .io games, but they just do not have the same quality as browser games used to have on these game hosting websites like Addicting Games, Miniclip, Armor Games. Way more websites like these that used to actually host some pretty fun Flash games. And these were groundbreaking games at the time because nobody has ever thought of actually making a game that could run on a browser. It's clear that FFX Runner is definitely one of those games that stood out amongst many other Flash games, and I personally would like to see the legacy of FFX Runner live on, considering that a lot of people look back on these old browser games and actually try to recreate them to work on modern hardware. So if they can do it, then so can we. Alright, that's all I really have to say for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified for any uploads that I make in the future. This is Game Webcam, and take care.